During the duration of our informative video, me and my partner will be discussing the concepts over evidence and the chain of custody. We'll explain these concepts with examples to allow the listeners to convey the correct idea of these concepts.
In legal context, the chain of custody refers to the chronological documentation or paper trail showing the seizure, custody, control, transfer, and disposition of physical or electronic evidence.
An example of this could be a bloody knife at a murder scene found. This is an example of chain of custody because it connects a person to a crime through evidence. The chain of custody requires that from the moment the evidence is collected, every transfer of evidence from person to person must be documented.
Say Officer Andrew collects a knife and places it into a container, then gives it to the forensics technician Bill. Bill takes the knife to the lab and collects fingerprints and other evidence from the knife. Bill gives all evidence gathered from the knife to evidence clerk Charlene. Then Charlene stores it until it is needed again.
All evidence bears class characteristics. Individual characteristics may or may not be present. Evidence that possesses class characteristics may be referred to as class evidence. Similarly, evidence that possesses individual characteristics may be referred to as individual evidence. Both class and individual evidence have value, however, it typically takes considerably more class evidence to have time and the same weight and significance as a single item of individual evidence. Criminal cases based solely on class evidence are more difficult to prove and require more work, but the results can be just as significant. To put in perspective in terms of probative value, in the courtroom it usually takes a considerable combination of class evidence to equate to a single item of individual evidence. Examples of characteristics: biological, blood, semen, saliva, sweat, tears, hair, bone, tissues, urine, feces, animal material, insects, bacterial, fungal, and anything from a living thing. Chemical characteristics are fibers, glass, soil, gunpowder, metal, mineral, narcotics, drugs, paper, ink, cosmetics, and paint. Physical evidence such as fingerprints, footprints, shoe prints, handwriting, firearms, tire marks, and tool marks. Then miscellaneous characteristics are laundry marks, voice analysis, polygraph, photography, stress evaluation, and vehicle identification.
Transient evidence is a term used in criminal forensics to indicate elements of physical evidence that might be expected to degrade or disappear within a particular time frame. Physical evidence is any object that can establish that crime has been committed or links a crime and the victim or suspect. Trace evidence is physical evidence that results from the transfer of small quantities of materials. Transient evidence is temporary, easily changed or lost, usually observed by the first officer at the scene. Conditional evidence produced by a specific event or action important in crime scene reconstruction and determining the set of circumstances or sequence within a particular event.